what's up? It's your girlfriend Stella Bella out here in Japan and exploring life in Japan while living here. On my channel you can find stuff about travel, lifestyle vlogs, and about personal development. So if you're about that life, stick around to the channel, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you never miss when I upload a nice video. And let's get started with today's video.
Hello everyone, if you don't know me, I'm Dante from Dante Dakara, and I was thrilled to be invited to collaborate on this video. So please smash her like and subscribe button so she does this again with me, please. So I'm excited. Today we're going to talk about a number of different things. Both of us live in Japan. How long have you lived here?
I've lived here for like 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
So you've got me beat. I've lived here for almost 6 years.
Oh, okay.
So, but our experiences are different, right?
Very different, I think.
So let's, I guess, start big picture. Most of the people probably know why you came to Japan. What has kept you here? Because I think that's...
interesting. I got really comfortable, very comfortable living in Japan. It's very safe. A lot of people will say safety is like the #1 thing. Yeah. When you're not working, there's so many places you could go to and like always something to do, always something to see. So
definitely.
That's what kept me here. Yeah, 11 years. I can't believe I'm like saying this out loud because it's like, sounds surreal.
Yeah, like I can't, like I keep thinking like, you know, eventually it's gonna sink in that like, okay, I live in Japan, I live in Tokyo. But it never sinks in. And like hearing you say that, I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm always gonna feel like, oh wow, I really live here.
Yeah.
That's gonna be crazy to me even then. So that's pretty cool.
So what about you though? Your story?
I'm retired military and I wanted a new life. And what better place to go than a place where like no one knows you, where you can literally start all the way over. So I came here looking for a chance to kind of make something beautiful and make something of myself and explore a new community, and I've done just that in 6 years. I feel like I've seen so many different parts of what makes Japan beautiful, and that's kind of been my motivation to keep doing it, to keep being here, is seeing more and finding more stories and enjoying those stories as they...
That's amazing. No
about.
Wonder your channel is called Dante's Diaries.
Yeah, like
everything.
Yeah, I love the stories. The narrative behind the thing is always what makes me happy.
Okay, well that's really cool.
So, enough about us. Let's get into the topic. Like the biggest thing that people always talk about when they come to Japan, and that's the language.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, so did you, when you came over here, could you speak Japanese?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, like everyone wishes like, oh yeah, I came over here and I was good from the start now.
No, I came over here with konnichiwa. There's one word.
Yeah.
I knew nothing else.
Wow.
Just
So
one word.
could you read any hiragana or katakana or anything?
No, I could not
just
do anything at all. So I had to start studying by myself.
Okay.
So I spent a year writing the alphabet.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, katakana, hiragana. And then I started matching them with things that I see at the convenience stores, supermarkets. And they're like, oh, I can read this with furutsu.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
Yeah.
But I got into it really fast.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. Like the more you learn, like the world actually, it's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like you stop seeing the numbers and you start seeing the pictures. Like, oh, I know what this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that is.
Perfect connection.
Yeah, exactly. I had a little bit of a one-up on you in that I could read hiragana and katakana before I came here, but that was about it.
Okay.
And
how was that though?
Not very helpful. like because no matter what you can read, true communication is this. It's talking, and you know you can only go so far with konnichiwa, genki, sayonara. Like that's not going to get you very far in a conversation, especially you know with our culture, like we are very like soulful people. We like to like really connect,
engaging.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that if you can't speak. So you practiced for a year in writing. What about talking? Like, or how's your Japanese level now? Like,
I have improved. I'd say I've improved, but I did do the JLPT in 5.
Okay.
I passed it, but I kind of feel like since I stick to teaching English and not trying to speak Japanese at all, because it does come out.
Yeah.
As soon as you learn something, well, me,
Yeah.
as soon as I learn something, I want to use it.
Yeah, same.
And I'm in the classroom teaching English, and I'll be like, Nande.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want my students to be like, oh, wow.
She can
Nande.
speak Japanese. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm gonna speak Japanese to her now. Yeah.
The level has improved, but not to the point where I want it to be.
Yeah. But there's a reason why it hasn't quote unquote improved. You've purposefully cut that off so that you could focus on your English teaching, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there's no shame in that at all. And I think the big thing is like when people come here, like there's no expectation. Guys. There's no expectation that you're going to be, this amazing Japanese speaker when you first get here.
Yeah, a translator in 1 year.
Yeah, like no one expects that. No one expects you to jump off the boat and be able to just speak like that. And in some places, like especially your jobs, you have no necessity to use Japanese. I think the barrier begins outside of your workplace, and it's like, how can you connect with people? I've been pretty aggressive about trying to figure out Japanese. I've been trying to learn it, and it's only because like I wanted to be able to tell stories in Japanese, and so how can I express myself as poetically as I can in English in Japanese?
Oh, nice. Yeah, give us a line.
Oh no, I have no poetry, guys. Like I just mean that I can say that I am not happy, or that I'm happy, or that I enjoy things, or like, oh, that's beautiful, or something like that. Like I want to be able to describe how I feel. I think so much in Japan is an expectation that you're going to conform to the culture, but many people don't want you to. They want you to say how you feel about things because they want to know how an outsider feels.
Yeah.
So when I say, oh, I don't like that, they're like, oh, tell me more. And I'm like, well, that's all I know how to say in Japanese is that I don't like it. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
I think that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, you hit a level and you're like, okay, I don't know how to get past that.
Yeah, that happened to me when I want to say stuff like itta koto ga something.
Yeah. Have you ever done something before?
Have you ever done something that was where my Japanese class stopped.
Yeah.
And I did the JLPT, and then when I wanted to use that phrase, I was like, I can't use this.
Yeah.
I can't express it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we just stick to the basics.
Yeah, and then like there's so many unwritten rules to Japanese, so you'll learn all this stuff and then you'll realize that people use very little of it.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying like, have you ever, that's like ito koto ga aru or yatta koto ga aru. Like that kind of Japanese is pretty useful when people ask those questions.
Yes.
But how often are people saying, have you ever been to Like, no one's asking that. Like,
quite unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not stringing together full sentences, so they'll just say, hey, anatta wa? And then you're like, me what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to know? And they're like, read the context.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know the context because I can't understand you.
Yeah. So how do we solve that though? Like, because new people are coming in every day. And
Yeah.
like, in the groups.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, what is the best way to learn Japanese quickly? Like, I need to get this down. Like, what can I do?
Well, I think it's first identifying what is getting it down. Like, where are you going to be speaking the most Japanese, and what kind of Japanese do you want to know most? Like, your cooking Japanese is going to be very different from like your medical Japanese.
That's right.
So like if you find that you want to be interacting with people in the kitchen or baking or something like that, like my hobby is cooking. So if I want to know that Japanese, then I need to be around people or places where that Japanese is used.
Exactly.
So
you gotta put yourself out there.
Exactly. And there's meetup groups, and I think people lean too much on like, oh, use meetup, but it is useful. It is really useful to do that, but also do what Japanese people do. Like there are cooking classes. I think there's like ABC cooking or something like that.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
The famous one.
Yeah, where Japanese people go to learn how to cook. And I know someone who's actually used this, like where maybe you don't know the Japanese perfectly, but you know cooking already.
Yeah.
So you're bridging the gap between what you know and the language that you don't know. And you're using that love, that passion as a tool.
Right.
So that's one way, I think.
The easiest thing for me was checking out the local city hall.
Exactly.
The first thing I did was
Exactly.
go to the city hall because all of them have a free Japanese course.
Yep.
I mean, It does depend on your level because in my class, the first class, Sensei wrote a lot of things on the board. I was like, oh my God, what is this? I couldn't read at the time. Like I just went to the city hall.
Yep.
And then I was like, okay, I need to double back a little bit and practice writing, recognizing all these characters, and then go back.
Yeah.
So I went back and I did that for like maybe a month. And then my company started offering.
Oh yeah, that's
classes.
right. They did do that.
They just tell you buy the textbook.
Yeah.
And come here every Thursday, and you can have a teacher, and you can study with a few people who are interested.
That's great.
So I did that, and I did it for a year, and then after that, I did the JLPT.
Okay. So yeah, that's really good. Like a year turnaround to do the JLPT N5 is actually really good.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know that test system, there is the JLPT is a testing system that tests your reading, vocabulary comprehension, as well as your listening skills. There's not any talking in it, but it does allow you to have like a general idea of where your level is in Japanese.
Exactly. I actually have it right here, I think.
Yeah, I think I took it like years and years
ago.
But I always thought like, oh, I'll go back and I'll take it again. But the further I get away from it, the more I realize that sometimes communication is not. That's the one right there.
This one.
Yep, that's the one right there.
How many years ago was that?
Yeah, no, I don't want to date you right there. Like 2015.
2015.
Yeah, that's 2 years before I even got here. So
Yeah.
but you did good. Look at you. Look at you. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like vocabulary, grammar, and reading at the
Yeah,
N5.
that's
And
right.
as you get higher on a level, there'll be more like kanji and so on and so forth.
Right.
But classes are available.
They are available.
The City Hall class is one thing. I know Gaijin Pot has like a directory of a bunch of different classes that you
Right.
can.
And then there's Japa Talk.
Yep.
You can pay like a 300 yen or something.
Yeah, there's also another one like Hello Native or something like that where you can have like an exchange system with like someone who wants to learn English or your native language. They'll speak Japanese and then you'll speak Spanish or English or whatever language that you speak. And in that way, you guys are both teaching each other. Don't get down on yourself when you first get here.
Yeah.
Like you have to have like an open mind with yourself and you have to be patient with yourself that you're not going to be perfect.
It's funny because you said perfect, and I want to touch on that really quickly because when you start learning the language, you go to the convenience stores, you go to the supermarket, and you just say something like, "Oh, arigatou gozaimasu," and the cashier would be like, "Jouzu desu ne." Like, you are really good.
Yeah.
Like they're giving you motivation. So tiny steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, because as teachers, I always tell my students, like, you know, if you do one thing great every day, like, that's a win. And you keep racking up those wins, those little wins. Eventually, you're going to get to where you want to be.
Right, definitely.
And I think that fits for everything else, too.
Perfect. So I think that's it for the language. Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's talk about, man, loneliness. Loneliness and isolation.
What's the difference, though?
I could be lonely in a group of people. Like, I mean, we could be like, I mean, I know, like just sitting on the train, a packed train in Tokyo, everyone's in their own world. You could be lonely around a bunch of people. Isolation is just being by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and it could be culturally being by yourself if you're the only one like you in your town or your city. Or it could be just like that you're literally by yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy you mentioned that. Only one in your city, because it will happen if you are placed in like the inaka or countryside areas.
Yeah.
You might be the only black person there.
What's that? Bingo.
Tell us about your experience then.
Oh,
what did
man.
you do? How did you like feel? Like,
it's interesting. I mean, like as a kid, like I was in a bunch of places where like I was the only black kid there. But the difference was I could speak English, so like we connect over something else. Now, being the only anything in a place where you can't communicate with anyone is a whole other level.
wow.
So I think you have to find you have to be okay with you. Like I think I've said it in other videos of mine in the past that whatever you bring with you to Japan, it will only grow. So if it's a good thing that you bring with you, that will grow.
Right.
But if you have some kind of personal issue that you're running from or some kind of like complex, oh, that isolation is going to make
Eats
it
you
worse.
alive.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So first, identifying what you got with you. What are you packing with you that you're bringing with you, and then from there, it's just like, dealing with that. Like taking that time when you're by yourself. Like, of course, you're learning Japan, but learning more about yourself. When you came here, so were you in a big city or were you?
Yeah, for me, in my case, I was placed in Yokohama,
Oh,
second
Well, good.
largest
You were-
city.
you were good.
So yeah, I was around a bunch of people.
Okay.
My best friend moved to Sendai 2 years before I came to Japan, and my cousin was living in Kyoto.
Oh wow, she got family.
Yeah, so I wasn't really lonely. Within a week, I was surrounded by my own family. And my friend moved to Yokohama with her husband, and before you know it, I had like a bunch of people around me. My neighbors were Jamaicans.
Wow, so
yeah.
Man,
so-
you had the entire I mean, there were other foreigners in my city. I was in a small city or a small town in Ibaraki, which is just north of Chiba or Saitama, depending on where you're at. I had the different experience where it was just me, and like I was living like so far outside the center of that town that even though there were foreign people that were there, they weren't really there. It was tough. Like I watched a lot of Netflix to like feel like
Nice,
culturally
nice.
connected. I think the elephant in the room, I guess, with the isolation and loneliness thing is like, how do you reach out without feeling like kind of embarrassed?
Yeah.
You had the family thing, like, but I really had to like go outside of myself, and I'm an introvert, so it's very difficult for me.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I ended up going to a meetup, which it was really awkward. Like, there's a bunch of people around, like,
Yes.
do you want to be friends?
I had that too.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be friends.
I want to be friends, but I don't want to be
Yeah,
friends.
exactly, exactly.
I'm also an introvert, so I know the feeling.
Yeah.
But like, I would say like to people who feel like they're gonna be lonely or isolated in any kind of way, like Facebook and WhatsApp, FaceTime. Those are your friends. Like,
absolutely.
you call everybody you know,
Yeah.
anybody you know. Like, there will always be somebody who wants to know, oh, what time is it in Japan?
Yeah, exactly.
What time is it?
Yeah, like I think that's one thing that I didn't do that I wish I did was use that time when I was by myself to connect with friends and family. I just lost touch, like, and that's easy to do too. Like, you'll come here and you're like, well, they don't really care that I'm here.
Yes.
Or, like, they're so busy, I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, it's midnight.
yeah, you trick yourself into being more alone.
Yes, you do.
Like, so, like, the Facebook thing is good too. Like, there's so many different community groups.
Oh
on
yeah,
Facebook.
that's
Like,
right.
Like that's how we met. Like we were in the Black Creatives group, Japan group, and I was always really afraid of like putting myself out there. Like, it's like, I'm creative, but I'm not that creative. Like, but that's the thing. We're always our own barrier.
That is it, yeah.
Like, so-
Whatever you tell yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
that's exactly what's gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
like you said, yeah, the groups are there. You have to put yourself out there, even in the groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Post some stuff and like. For me, I just post anything, everything, and like.
I admire that about you because I'm so self-conscious. Like, yo, I'm not posting this. I'm not doing that. Hey, what are you guys doing? I'm not doing that. Like, I'll respond, but I'm not. That's not.
I mean, like.
So I admire you for that.
I mean, even recently, like the cherry blossom season, like I just had the idea, like, okay, so something's happening in Osaka. What happened to Tokyo? Like, can we do something in Tokyo? People, we are here. Let's do something together. So, yeah, I just did that. I'm not like supposed to be doing that. I'm supposed to like getting the group engaged, but I'm just doing anything and everything because. Yeah, I get bored too sometimes.
But you bring up a good point though. Like when something doesn't exist, like if you find that there's no group here for you, make it.
Yeah.
Make the group. Don't wait for other people to initiate like for you.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm gonna wait. But be the person that actually becomes the keystone to to stopping that loneliness, to hedging that isolation. And you might find that like somebody will say to you, hey, you know, I was just waiting for someone to say something.
Yes.
Just like I was waiting for an opportunity to talk and connect with people, and I just didn't have it until she said something. And
so every time you see like, oh, Dante posted a video, oh wow, nice motivation, let me go try to do a video too.
Yeah,
you can start a YouTube, you can do a lot of things, you could go into art, so many things that you could do, like to not be lonely or feeling isolated, because that will eat you up.
I think that's one more thing you just touched on that I want to address with the loneliness thing, and it's the content creator YouTube thing. Like, I know that like a lot is made about the business of YouTube and things like that and content creation, but the only reason why I ever started making videos was to just not feel alone. Like, I talked to the camera because there was nobody else to talk to about how I felt. So maybe that's all you got. Maybe you got a cell phone and you're just trying to feel some connection. Record a video, post it. Somebody's gonna see it and be like, yo, I feel what you feel. Honestly, that's how like I have like the small subscriber groups. All of us are just people that happen to connect over something that I said in a video.
Wow.
Like, so maybe,
Magic.
Yeah, maybe you can do the same thing. Like, if you can't find a group, just pick up a camera and record something and see what people say. It might work.
Yeah, make candles like.
Oh yeah. I loved that. I loved that. So like finding a creative outlet could also be a way to
something. Like, the reason I started candles was because when my family member passed away, and I couldn't deal with it. I went on trips alone, came back, still didn't feel right. So I went to a friend's house and I smelled something.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, what is that? And she said, oh, Bath and Body Works. I was like, okay. I started hoarding Bath and Body Works. Okay, let's do this. A sensei at my school. I was at a high school at the time. She was like, you like candles? Why not make them? Like, let me find you a school. And I started going to
candle making school.
Yeah, I went to a candle making school.
And like, was it all in Japanese?
Yes, it was.
So see, like, you're underestimating your Japanese skill. I think your Japanese skill is a lot better than you're letting on.
I mean, show and tell is good.
Yeah, that's just show and tell does help. But see, like, and there you go, like creative outlets, your hobbies, like all these things can kind of hedge and stop that loneliness and stop you from being isolated. So definitely, seek those things out. Seek the things that you love to do. Try to initiate when you can, and try to find those groups of people if they already exist, and if they don't exist, make the group.
Right.
So.
And don't go to Shinjuku every weekend.
Oh yeah.
That's like 10,000 yen every month.
Yeah, 10,000 yen to like feel like you're not alone, but actually just being alone with alcohol is like terrible.
Don't do that.
I think I had like a season of that. Like, it was like fall 2018 or 2017, where I was like, oh, okay, like I could just go to Setagaya or Hachioji like every weekend and just hang out with like music people, and like I was like drinking. It's like, oh, this music is great, and then I'll go home alone on the train like, yo, why did I just waste like 10,000 yen on just like drinking by myself and listening to music? I can drink by myself, listen to music at home, and not spend 10,000 yen. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. So yeah. Don't waste your money on that, like, unless like you really have someone to meet there or something to do there. It's just not worth it. So, like, everyone's favorite topic is money.
Yes.
How many videos have you made about money?
Maybe just one, but I realized it's not good enough. To be honest, it's not good enough. Like, I was just talking about what I think I spend. And looking at my lifestyle now, and looking back at that video, I kind of felt like I could have shared a little bit more about what you spend, what you can save, if you can save, and all kinds of things like that. So
yeah, I've made a few videos about money, like addressing like how people can save money here, how you can find a second job here, and then finally I think I have a third video about like what teachers make here. And right now I'm working on a video of like everyday spending, like what do I spend on every day. But I think money, depending on how you come here, and a large part of our viewership is probably going to come here through teaching or some kind of company that's going to import you in.
Right.
First off, the first 2 months you're not going to have any inflow of money.
That's right.
So it's only what you bring with you, and that's tough.
It is. I mean, if you're not lucky like I was, I came here right after the Great East Japan earthquake.
Oh,
So I got the old package where companies were paying your airfare
Whoa.
to come here. So
Ina.
yeah, exactly.
Like, that's
so
nice.
if
That's
you're
nice.
not like in that group, then you'd have to find a lot of money to come here,
Yeah.
cover like 2 months worth of rent before you get your first paycheck. So
Yeah. When you're coming here and you're thinking about money, the most important thing is realizing that no matter how much money you have saved, you will always find that you are deficient. And that's because like you're not just like bringing your clothes over and like you're good to go. No, you're creating an entire lifestyle from
New
zero. Like, and depending on where you live, from zero means something quite different. So like if you have an apartment that already has all your furniture, then from zero is, you just putting food in the refrigerator and you get your essentials together, you're good to go. But if you're starting from zero where there's nothing in your apartment, which that was me, from zero made my account go to zero. I had to buy literally everything. And then still like have the food and whatever to survive on a day-to-day basis. So like I think the question that usually people ask is, how much do I have to bring? And then usually that number is very small. Like, hey, can I come here on $1,000? I mean, you could.
yes, you could.
You could.
But
I would say that you would need to assess what your zero is.
yes.
Like, what can you live with and what can you live without?
Yeah. What conditions you can get into?
Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, because you were talking about that loneliness and isolation. You're going to be isolated with no moolah, and that's like, if you're okay with that, then you're cool.
Yeah.
You're cool. But
That's
I mean,
true.
so like when I came here with $3,000, and the recommended amount was $2,000. Like, but I know me, like I'm like, okay, I want to do some stuff. I want to buy a bed. I want to do some things like that. Like, so like I knew the conditions, and I think it was research.
Okay.
Researching was everything for me.
Yeah.
Like I was watching everybody's YouTube videos. Like I was like, okay, how much money did you spend in Japan? Like I was, like if you're watching this video, you probably are one of those people like me who was watching videos about doing this and trying to figure out how to do it before I got here. Like, did you?
For me, I didn't watch any videos. I was like,
you're brave.
My company, they were like, you need this much money, and my mom was like, well, we got 150, like 1,500.
Yeah.
So can you make this happen with 1,500? And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. So, and my mom was the one who actually gave me money. So when I got here, of course, I didn't get a bed.
Yeah.
I just used the loft, so I was sleeping on the floor. I still sleep on the floor, by the way. I do not have a bed in my apartment.
Like I'm
so it
so
depends
spoiled.
on, like you said, your zero, your lifestyle, what is it that you want, and then you can, say how much money you want to bring.
Yeah, like no, like they I watched so many videos, like, and people were like, yeah, I'm struggling, like, oh, I didn't have any money, like, like I could get by on this. I got a loan from the company, and now I have to pay it back. And if I can caution you on anything, is please don't take a loan from a company or anything like that if you can avoid it. Like, you can avoid, like, you're already going to be in debt when you get here. Like, just think of it like that. You're going to come in here and you're going to be in debt. How? Because you don't have anything.
Right.
So you automatically have to buy anything. So you're already in a deficit when you get here.
Right.
So why would you compound that deficit
by
taking money from somebody that you're eventually have to pay back from a paycheck that's not really that big anyway?
Exactly. And that's the question many people ask. How much money am I going to be making?
So, like, and this is actually quite fortuitous because, like, I have a new person that's sitting next to me in my workplace. And like, so being the senpai, I'm like, yo, you good on the money? And he, like, shows me his check, and I'm like, the money's gone down since I came here. What's going on? So I would think, like, the base, you'll see in the ads, like, oh, you're going to make $2 million to $3 million a year when you come to Japan. Assume that it's $2 million, and that's before taxes come out of it.
Yeah, before.
Yeah, so, definitely. Like, you're probably going to take home 19 mom, 18?
Yeah.
Like, so $1,800, $1,900 a month.
A month.
And that's before your rent comes out. So, like, depending on where you live and what city you live in,
and your appetite for food and all those other leisure stuff.
And like I have like this mentality in my mind that like my essentials shouldn't cost more than half of my paycheck. By that virtue, like it's like, okay, well, food and rent about $1,000. No, it's probably gonna be more than that. So it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to be really wise about how you go about managing your money. And if you're coming here with, like, I think, did you come here out of college?
No, I was working at a radio station before.
Okay, so like some people, a lot of the viewers are gonna be coming right out of college, so they got debt
exactly
from where they came from.
But I did have debt. I had student loans.
Yeah, so yeah. Like I was a little bit different. I came here at 30, so like I was 10 years in the military, and then like so I had time to pay all that off. So when I came here, like I was starting from zero, but my zero was a different zero than a lot of people are coming here.
So like you said, key point.
Yeah,
know
like
your zero.
know your zero.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you're coming here and you have to pay that debt from where you came from, and you have to get started here. Oh, and you want to do all those things you saw in those ads. Oh, I want to visit Kamakura, and I want to go to Mount Fuji, and I want to go to Tokyo, and I want to do this and that.
Yes.
Do you got the money for that?
Yeah.
The 18 to 19 mon, that's a stretch.
It is a stretch. So think about that.
Yeah. And so moving from that, how much money you're making a month, it's okay. So where am I going to be spending that money, and where's the most advantageous place to spending that money?
Yeah.
And I think that, when you're talking about grocery stores, it's very difficult if you've come from like a country where, you have Walmart and you have Whole Foods and you have these big places that they're like ubiquitous, that you just know that those places have all the
things
foods.
that you want,
exactly.
all the comfort foods.
Yeah. And so then you go to a grocery store here and you're like, bruh, I don't even know if this is salt or sugar.
Or if this is horse or real beef or
yeah,
what is
exactly,
this?
Yeah. Like, you don't know how, like, I was so sad. I was trying to make lemonade. I was like, okay, got the sugar, got the lemons, got the boom, came home, mix it all up. It's salt. I was like, bruh, like, this is crazy. And I just wanted to cry. Because, like, all I wanted was lemonade.
But that happens to a lot of us.
Yeah. Like I was so upset.
Salt aid.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like I just got like a big picture of salt and lemon. Like we have lemons, make lemonade. No, I tried that. I didn't make it. So but like going and exploring the places where you're gonna go shopping and looking around, taking pictures of things. Google Translate now does picture translations.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things you need to explore and do your in-person research.
Right.
There's also a website that you can use to kind of get a lay of the land of the city costs, and I'm hoping that you'll put in your description box and I'll put it in mine.
Oh yeah.
Like you can actually research and compare the cost of like apples in this city compared to apples in your city.
Right.
So you have an idea of like, okay, the cost of living is about the same, or it's worse, or so on and so forth.
Right. So I can go to Osaka, or I can live in Yokohama,
Yeah.
and decide.
Yeah, and it's such a huge deal to be able to make those decisions before you come here. Like, hey, I know it's gonna be too much, and I'm not gonna get paid enough to live in Tokyo. So I'm gonna live over here. I'm gonna
Yamanashi.
Yeah, exactly. And I can go to Tokyo using this train line once a month, or once every other month, and enjoy the time there. But we need to be making those decisions before we get into here, where it's too late to make the decision. Now you're already stuck.
Yeah.
You lived in Yokohama. How was the cost of living there
Yokohama, when I first got here, like, it wasn't bad. Like, it still isn't, because I got a sweet deal. Of course, everybody's using Leo Palace or something, but my company suggested another woman who had a real estate company. She had apartments.
Oh, okay.
So she was giving a lower rent and lower rates for everyone else, because she didn't want the competition.
She wanted to like undercut the competition. Very nice. That's
so
smart.
She was trying to do that. And right now my rent is like 43,000 yen in Yokohama.
Like I'm living in Tokyo. I work in Ibaraki, but I live in Tokyo, and I pay Junimon for my rent. And I'm centrally located. I'm around at the Ueno area, so like I think what I pay is really low compared to what the median Tokyo household is paying for rent. But like, and there's an entire like idea or philosophy to how the rent system works in Tokyo area, in any city area. Like, so like it will depend on train lines. It will depend on like convenience and all that. And that's something that we could probably make an entire separate video
around.
So like I won't get to all that. All I can say is that like research is your friend.
Yeah, check out the areas.
Yeah,
check them out.
Yeah, like try to like find like area study websites that do like a complete study of the area, and you can pair that with the cost of living,
right?
And then you can see, okay, this is a good idea or this isn't a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Well, yeah. Please do that before you come to Japan.
Yeah. Like I can't stress it enough that like your groundwork before you get here will help you when you do, because it's a completely different world from 11 years ago and even 6 years ago when I came here. Like people are getting paid less. Like starting pay is less than what it was when I first got here.
Right.
And people
pension is getting more.
Yeah. The pension and the taxes are going up. So and inflation is now finally hitting Japan too.
Right.
So like all of these things are working against you. You have to do your research prior to coming over here. So please do that. Please do your research, and I hope that you guys can find a comfortable way to live and exist here.
Okay.
So
yeah. Totally agree. That's a wrap for this video, and yeah, make sure you do your research, make sure you talk to some people, get out there, get into the communities, find all these groups before you come to Japan, and that will make your life so much easier when you get here. And thank you, Dante, for being here. Really appreciate it.
I'm happy
the
to be
time
here.
And everything. Like,
no problem.
Yeah.
Again, know your zero, know what you're bringing over here, and like I think that you'll be fine. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. And,
and head over to Dante's channel for part 2.
I mean, it's gonna be great.
Bye.
See ya.